History of culture, keep the big shows. One set of girls and banner. Cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. They hide the corruption inside the cup. Look how we evil set up. The people fed up. Every picture you take and promise you make, everything you do is about clouds. Then you come into me for I shake your hand, there's nothing to smile about. Corruption inside every sector, but when it comes to them they send you. Try investigate efficiency, right? Go talk to Barrett and Sue, cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up.
Sit there and fabricate that. Unless you say who the person is, I can't comment on anonymous people.
Okay, well, let's talk about specific individuals. What is your relationship with Mr. Su Zhurong?
Su. Oh, Su.
At Big Bird Transportation Service, we specialize in safe, fast, and dependable delivery transportation for businesses and individuals. Whether you're sending a small package across town or need scheduled deliveries for your company, we're here to make sure your items arrive on time, every time. Our team is committed to providing efficient logistics solutions with a personal touch. With a fleet of well-maintained vehicles and experienced drivers, we handle every delivery with care, from pickup to drop-off. Why choose Big Bird? On-demand and scheduled deliveries. Local and regional coverage. Secure and professional handling. Customer-first service. Call us today at 929-329-9938 and let Big Bird take your deliveries to the next level.
A pleasant good evening, everyone. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to Over to You, a program for the people, by the people. I hope that everyone is keeping well, and doing well thus far. So happy Saturday, everyone. It is the 22nd day of November 2025. I welcome you all to the program, those on the ground in Guyana, all those in North America, yes, the Northeast, all across the United States, Canada, okay, the people in the European Union, welcome. We have people watching from Africa, a lot of people on the ground in the Caribbean. We had a lot of Bajans on the program, our Guyanese based in Barbados. Again, we stand in solidarity with our friends of Jamaica who would have had such a horrible experience with the most recent hurricane that has created devastation across the entire, just about a very large part, not the entire island, but a very large part of the island. And those people are really, really going through a lot. Some of the pictures are gruesome, what you hear, quite concerning, but let's continue to support them. I had one of my brothers went out there into Queens and, drop off. We did a nice big drop off there, donation for Jamaica. So you guys, you can find out, you can look and you can find out where they're accepting donations and donate, to help. It's always good to help. Anyhow, welcome to tonight's program. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I encourage you guys to go ahead and share the link, like the program, share the link, like the program. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do tonight's roll call. You know that we always do that every night. I want to say many thanks to our executive producer for Over to You, Mr. Gavin Caesar. Welcome, welcome, sir. Thank you. He has taken over as executive producer of this program, and of course the wardrobe this evening. As you can see, I have on a beautiful hot color shirt with a black tie. The wardrobe this evening was done by no other than Miss Marilyn Thomas. She may be in the audience this evening, but she was responsible for the wardrobe today. And of course, thanks to the makeup team at Bench Up Radio. all right, to make sure that I'm presenting myself, properly. So, guys, again, welcome to the program. Let's start off with tonight's roll call. Sharon Griffith, a pleasant good evening to you. Welcome to the broadcast. Aileen Norton, good to see you. Welcome to the broadcast. Miss Yvonne Rodriguez, I see you here. Good evening. Welcome. Marcus Paul, welcome. Good evening. Lance Young, welcome to the program. Neville Seatal, the Honorable Civic, good to see you, sir. A pleasant good evening to you. Hope all is going well on your end. Beatrice Selby, welcome to the program. Puran Ramdas, welcome. Region 2 is in the house. Big up to you, Puran. Welcome to the broadcast. Sandra Hanover, good to see you. Yes, Freedom Fighter, yes, you are also Miss Hanover. Ingrid Carter, good to see you. Good evening. Pleasant good evening to Miss Ingrid Carter. Lorraine Beat, good to see you. Eva, great to see you. Welcome to the broadcast. Dawn Wilson, welcome to the broadcast. Karen Clark, welcome to the broadcast. Joycelyn Johnson, welcome. Miss Mary Figueroa, Canada is in the house. Miss Desiree Smart Felix, Canada is in the house again. The two of them are always back to back so many times. Patricia Graves-Andy, welcome. Wynette White, welcome to the program. My brother Sochu Epta, welcome to Over to You. Yes, this is your program. You guys have created this program. It never existed before. It's your program. Mr. Jamal Aziz from Barbies, welcome to the broadcast. Miss Desiree Simons, welcome to the broadcast, Miss Simons. Linda Dainty, welcome. My good friend, Mr. Carlisle Madu, the Honorable Mr. Carlisle Madu, welcome to the program. Brenda Bailey, welcome. Miss Rita Clark, it's great to see you here this evening. Sandra Sargent, good to see you. Raquel Gentle, good to see you. Remember the Palo Altos. I'm thinking that this might be Palo Alto Pride. Good evening, welcome to the program. Emily Durant, welcome. Joylyn Cotton, good to see you. Norville Berkshire, good to see you. Welcome to the broadcast. Diane Mitchell, welcome, 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 everyone. Terrence Beaton, Mr. Ian Bino, the Honorable Ian Bino. I'm glad I have you here early, Ian, because I got to go over something that you said, which is interesting. The Honorable Mr. Israel Gardner is here. Gavin Caesar, the executive producer, is in the audience. Miss Brenda Braithwaite from FL, Florida, New York. Good to see you. Shemi Benjamin, the Honorable Mr. Victor Ben out of Canada. Good to see you. Miss Audrey Brown, omnipresent at just about every one of these programs. These are the people that have built this program. Miss Rhonda Lane, it's a pleasure seeing you. Keith W2N, good to see you, sir. All right. Michelle Bortune, Jean Johnson, Harmony, Glenn Hayward, it's good to see you. Big time Canadian in the house, Miss Glenn Hayward, good to see you, Miss. Ewart Eastman, good to see you. Good to see you, Leslyn Thomas, Tessa Lane, Eastman, Pam Halls, Yvonne Castillo, Joy Phillips, Israel Garden, the Honorable Young Guyanese historian, Mr. Israel Garden, good to see you here tonight. Please bring some of the history, do your thing. You're here. I hope to have you on sometime very soon. Thomasino Ben, welcome to the program. All right, guys, I think I've gotten just about everyone. If I haven't gotten you, I'm very, very sorry. Annette Cummins, I think I miss you. Oh, the Honorable Mr. Conan Marshall is here again this evening. Conan, welcome. Joy Phillips, welcome. All right, let's get into it. This is going to be big tonight, and I'm glad that Israel is here. I'm so happy that Conan is here. Here's our wardrobe specialist, Miss Marlene Thomas. Thank you so much for preparing me. A lot of people say that I look very handsome tonight and presentable. Thank you. Again, I am happy that Conan and Israel is here, as well as Rhonda Lane and Mr. Ian Bino. I'm happy that these guys are here. Floretta Hamilton, welcome. We're going to dig into a few things. Let's first start with the executive, right? The highest office in the land, right? With the highest position in the land. The office of the president. It's the highest position in the land. And I believe it's our weakest link. All right, you guys can correct me if I am wrong. Now, when the EU would have placed a report after observing the election, they said, well, look, this is what we observed. This is our report. All right. And guys, when you look at the report and you look at what they're saying and what they are addressing, these are things that we would have been pointing out all the time, right? So what's consistent? Well, what's consistent is that they are saying the same things that we have been saying. All right. The Canadian delegation is saying the same thing. The Carter Center is saying the same thing, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So we have uniformity, a la consistency across the board. Now, any prudent individual, any smart individual that is leading a country would look at all of these reports and say, well, look, if it's one thing that stands out with these reports, is that they are consistent. We have some issues here that we would have to address from a party perspective and by extension, a government perspective. And government we're going to talk about. Government we're going to talk about and its inefficiencies. Nevertheless, you guys know, especially off from, 70s and 80s babies, even 60s babies. You guys know how much noise an empty tin cup makes compared to one that is filled. And this installed president is exactly that. An empty tin cup. Come out and blast the people. Unprofessional. Totally unprofessional. To the people, to that EU delegation, I just want you to know that what the display by this installed president does not represent, you understand me, the Guyanese people. It does not. Okay? So please do not use this installed quote-unquote leader as a measuring stick for Guyanese, because he's not. We are way more educated than the display that you guys would have seen. Okay? Yes, Miss Lachmina Aziz. Yes, the empty barrel indeed makes the most noise. And that is what occurred in this case. So to the installed president, I want you to understand this. Okay? Your outburst was uncalled for. What is needed here is proper reforms to make sure that elections going forward in Guyana is free and fair and not a highway robbery, where the citizens get up at 4 and 5 in the morning to get out there to a polling station to place a ballot that is not going to have an impact on the trajectory of their nation. Okay? Their democratic right would have been infringed upon. So let's get into what the EU report indicated. Right? And I'm going to contextualize it to the best of my ability. All right? The PPP would have abused state resources in order to be re-elected. Let's start off with something that I have been consistently complaining about. NCN. 98% of the information disseminated by MCN is PPP propaganda. 98% of MCN, of what is put out there by MCN, is PPP propaganda. No, ladies and gentlemen, when you talk about fees and how MCN is supported from a financial perspective, it's the taxpayers of Guyana that keeps MCN up and running. Now, come on, guys. Let's just ask ourselves a question. Is this fair to the taxpayers of Guyana? Is this what they would have bargained for? I don't believe so. I don't believe so. Hence, here is some work for the opposition. The 98% of the fees with regards to MCN over the last 5 years, the PPP should be taken out of their normal party's budget. Their donors, whatever their parties have on the books, should be paying for that. Or they should take that same amount of money and put it back into the consolidated fund. And when I say consolidated fund, they're just taking the money and giving it back to themselves. Because we're going to get into government now and what I believe that I am seeing with government. When we speak of government, ladies and gentlemen, the PPP by itself cannot be a government. The PPP is essentially the lead party in government, right? Because they didn't earn 36 seats, they took 36 seats. They were allowed, let me rephrase it. Let me rephrase it. They were allowed to take 36 seats. And I think Barry Jagdeo called it out before it even happened. That would raise a major red flag. I'll be like, how do you know that you're going to get 36 seats? How do you know this? Well, like the guy, like Barry Jagdeo would have said, Guyanese people are really dunce. Right? That's what he said. No. It is up to the people of Guyana to prove that they are not dunce. All right? So, they took 36 seats. All right? 16 seats went to WIN. 12 to APNU. 1 to Forward Guyana. Okay. Look, these results are quite concerning because I still can't believe that APNU has gotten to 12 seats. You know? It's hard for me to believe, but I guess I have to live with it because that's what it is, right? Anyhow, moving forward, to form a government, right? You must have lead party, right? Remember, 65 seats in parliament, right? 65 seats, right? That's how laws are made. They are the lawmakers. That's how a government is formulated, 65 seats. All 65 of those members of parliament supposed to be active doing something. They are all being paid. Not some of them. Not just the ones on the PPP side. All of them are being paid, right? So when we talk about efficiency, everybody should have an assignment, right? Y'all don't worry with that whole thing. Oh, I'm shadow minister of education. I'm shadow this. I'm shadow that. I'm not saying that the positions don't exist, right? I'm not saying so. But what I'm saying is what engagement do you actually get being a shadow minister, what engagement do you actually get from the minister overseeing that ministry? Because if there is engagement, then there's a total breakdown in transparency getting to the people of Guyana. Right? Ladies and gentlemen, the passport would have changed, right? Where it shows a slogan in the passport. I think the passport says One Guyana, right? You guys correct me if I'm wrong. You guys correct me. I'm here to be corrected. I don't know everything. I myself learn on this program. But I'm going to ask the question, right? We have a national motto, right? One people, one nation, one destiny, right? That's our national motto, right? That's all. The national motto is Guyana. One Guyana is not Guyana. One Guyana is the PPPC. So how it is that One Guyana is allowed to appear on a national document? How it is? Look, ladies and gentlemen, ultimately what I'm going to say tonight, okay, is that in Guyana exists a democratic framework for democracy. But democracy is not being exercised in Guyana. So I want to say this to all the ambassadors and everybody who is sitting in Guyana. Okay? Please do not make the error of calling the Cooperative Republic of Guyana a functional democracy. Please don't do it. Because it is absolutely incorrect. The PPP is seeking to get control, 100% control of the judiciary. All right? Any judges that does not rule favorably to the PPP is removed from Georgetown. I believe Mr. Sanjeev Kissoon was removed from Georgetown and placed in Essequibo because his rulings is not favorable to the PPPC. You guys understand what's going on here? So to all my brothers who want to hang out at the pub and drink a Mackerson and drink a Guinness and drink your Banks and your GT beer and stuff like that, let's think about what's happening here. Because like I said, over and over again, your actions today determines your tomorrow. Your actions today determines your tomorrow. Okay. We have citizens from other countries being imported into Guyana. Okay. Especially citizens of the Indo-Guyanese or the Indo-Look, not Indo-Guyanese, the Indo-Look. All right. We're seeing what is happening right before our eyes. The opposition cannot come and say, well, okay, you've brought in 1,000 people. Can we bring in 1,000 people from Haiti? Or you cannot bring in 1,000 people, or else you will have to allow 1,000 people to come in from Haiti. Look, here. Brother Israel, Conan, y'all know this. The PPP can't be playing hardball. And we playing underhand bumper ball. It's not going to work. All right? If the PPP is going to play hardball, we got to play hardball. Look, I'm not trying to put any pressure on anybody here. All right? I'm not. But what I'm trying to say essentially is that if those guys are playing the game up here, you got to be playing it up here, or you got to be right there with them. You can't be all the way down here. That's a disservice to the people that support you. That's a total disservice to the people that support you. Ladies and gentlemen, you see these 12 seats? And that 1 seat from Forward Guyana. Those seats, they mean a lot to the future of Guyana. They mean a whole lot to the future of Guyana. All right? Because when Claudette Singh came out and decommissioned the Guyana Election Commission, right? Unilaterally decommissioned and said that the representatives of the opposition commissioners are not allowed to partake any longer in the process. Ladies and gentlemen, can you believe this? Look, if you was going to decommission the Guyana Elections Commission, why did you not do it at the beginning of this year? Why you wait after this electoral cycle to do it? Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say this. I believe the picture is painted on the wall. All right? I believe that everybody's out to eliminate the PNC. APNU by extension. I don't think they want APNU to exist in Guyana. Okay? I don't believe that they want APNU to exist in Guyana. Guyana is essentially going to become a one-party state. You may be seeing 2 parties, but those 2 parties will be one, trust me. Because when Claudette Singh decommissioned GCOM, the new opposition leader will select those representatives, right? Those commissioners that's going to be representing the opposition going forward. My question to all of you tonight is when that does happen, okay, where is the fight coming from? Where is the voices of dissent coming from? It's a simple question. Where is the voices of dissent? I see where this thing is heading already. I never thought that this would have actually come to pass. You know, I was hoping that I was wrong. But when I started coming on and participating politically, I said to myself, Guyana is going to be an example to the rest of the world. And I'm happy that I was not lying. Okay? I am happy that, you know, well, it's not even a matter of lying, but what I would have said would have come to pass because I've already read the PPP. All right? The only way to fight this, guys, the only way to fight this, look, you're not going to fight this from a diplomatic position. You can have a million house-to-house walkthrough of villages and all these type of things. You're not going to fight it from that position. All right? You guys saw what happened to that pastor with that pastor and Brother Kidaki, right? You guys saw that. I was listening to my brother Kidaki because he, you know, another brother of mine, Mr. John Thomas, not a program, and I, you know, browsing through and I saw John there, and, you know, I always stop in, you know, whenever I see a program is on, but he called Kidaki live. And to be honest with you, Brother Kedaki sounded fed up. Fed up. Fed up. And look, I side with the brother. The Guyanese people are just not responding. We do this because we care about you. You have to respond in some way or some form. Okay? You have to respond. The only purpose of a lot of you, okay? They want you as consumers. You must not be business owners. Okay? You remember, guys, remember, and I quote Sanjeev Dattadin. And I quote Sanjeev Dattadin again. Young black men are fertile soil. Okay? That's what he would have said. Again, your actions today determines your tomorrow. Brother Israel is saying the international community only blows hot here at the current PPPC regime. Once the international community geopolitical interest is intact, the will propped up dictatorship and tyranny, the people of Guyana must fight to preserve our flawed democracy. You heard what the brother said. He's a historian. He's totally agreeing with me. Okay? Flawed. All right? We don't have a democracy anymore in Guyana. The PPP is on the ground. They were on the ground in Region 6 from Thursday, I think, all the way to Saturday, maybe. Not 100% sure if they were there on Saturday, but till late Friday. All right? They had cricket game. They were on the ground with the people of Region 6, you know, meeting with the community and stuff. The whole cabinet, the whole PPP cabinet. Okay. Then they circulate a video, ladies and gentlemen, with someone going around a room with all of them in there at what is proposed to be 2 a.m. in the morning. And they're claiming that they would have started at 4 a.m. Thursday morning. Okay? The optics is put out there. It's all about optics, guys. It's all about optics. All right? And what were they saying? As the guy come and interview them, you guys have been up almost 24 hours and stuff like that. Oh, yes, we have no problem. This is not new. We have been doing this all the time. You know, when it comes to the Guyanese people, we don't play around. And I quote them, you know, it's about work. You know, Dr. Irfan Ali is very serious. You know, this is a serious president and all this kind of stuff. Well, here, all of you, you know yourselves. Y'all like going on the bottom house and knocking domino with president? Y'all like going on the bottom house and knocking domino with president? Well, hey, 53% of your brothers and sisters is living below the poverty line. When y'all knock the domino, y'all just ask any questions about that? There's my question. Or is y'all, it's just about y'all self-interest? Because innately, what Barry Jagdioff conditioned the Guyanese people to do over those 23 years is to be very selfish in nature. Right? Before in Guyana, man, you find people doing all kind of things. Oh, I'm going over by my neighbor across the street there to borrow a pound of flour. Oh, people shared. You know? Oh, my neighbor across the street there, she make pone. Them children going across there forget a pone. Whatever the case is. Right? Took a village to raise a child, right? That's real true Guyana. That's real true Guyana. Today, you got to be scared to send your children over to anybody's house. Because you don't know what happened to them. You don't know if they're going to come back home. Right? But anyhow, continuing with the PPP cabinet, you know, everybody got something to talk about that they are working for the people of Guyana. Well, they had 5 years with the fastest growing economy to work for the people of Guyana. And we still have an impoverished rate of 53%. So I want to beg to ask the question, what work were the PPP doing for the past 5 years? Everybody's quick to jump out and say, oh, the PPP gave up. No, the PPP didn't give you guys a bridge. Okay? The PPP borrowed loans, right? The government borrowed loans and had a bridge built. Now, let me piggyback again on governance. The opposition, look, I don't want anybody to believe I'm hitting on the opposition. But hear this. I want to say this. Without the opposition, there's not a government, right? They must collude in order to form a government, right? So, I think Dr. Terence Campbell made a proposal with regard to the Natural Resource Fund. He wanted to know how much is in the Natural Resource Fund. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, the entire cabinet should know how much is in the Natural Resource Fund. Not the leap. This thing is killing me, man. This thing is killing me. The entire cabinet should know how much is in the... Stop. Let me stop with the entire cabinet. The Ministry of Information should have this available to every citizen in Guyana. To the extent you... That's your money. That's not the PPP's money. That is your money. The PPP is responsible, and the opposition is there to do checks and balances to make sure that the PPP is compliant when it comes to how they manage the resources of Guyana and manage the revenues of government. Now, when you choose to dismiss the opposition, being non-compliant, being inclusive, essentially, ladies and gentlemen, the PPP would have made themselves into a criminal syndicate, a set of gangsters. Because they are defying the rules. When there is rules of engagement, it should be followed and followed to a T 100%. I am going to hold the opposition accountable. You know why, ladies and gentlemen? They are the ones, okay, that has taken that oath. Look, when you take that oath to serve the people, man, I say this over and over, this thing is not a game. When it comes to the lives of people, and essentially the lives of children, man, you don't play with that. You don't play with that. We've got to get serious, man. We've got to be... Look, this is not about taking an oath and doing your thing to get your perks and all of these type of things that come along with it, man. We've got to get out of this behavior. We've got to get out of this behavior. Because what it looks like, and ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to exempt anybody. It looked like if everybody across the board, everybody in politics, everybody, government, everybody, y'all are gambling the people of Guyana. Y'all are gambling the people of Guyana, and it is not going to be tolerated. It is not going to be tolerated. This is not for everybody, but I'm saying the people of Guyana is being gambled, and it is not going to be tolerated. It is just not. Look, man, you guys would have had multiple attempts on my life. I'm telling you, I was never going to stand for what you guys are doing. Never. Never. No way. I would never sell my integrity. It doesn't matter what you put in front of me. I will not sell my integrity. No matter how much riches you get. And most of you, your gains are ill-gotten. Your gains are ill-gotten. All right? You would have essentially robbed the people of Guyana. Look, if we audit all of you guys, your salary cannot match up to what you have. And everybody always, the PPP supporters always jump up and say, you have something against rich people. What about investment? What investment? What investment? You mean impoverishing Guyanese so that they can just be consumers? They can't do nothing for themselves? They got to depend on you for their livelihood? Is that what you're talking about? Because I love to see people independent. I love to see people independent. Ladies and gentlemen, you can't sleep. We can all see that the PPP intention is to make Guyana one Indian Guyana. Okay? Don't worry the few Afro-Guyanese that are scattered through the cabinet. All right? Those people got masks over their face. They're blinded. They can't see nothing. Don't even try to educate them and have them see anything. They can't see anything. We are working for you. You guys are working for the Guyanese people. You guys are supposed to be working collectively with the opposition, engaging the opposition to make decisions pertinent to Guyana. You guys are working for the Guyanese people. You're a segregated bundle of fools. You're trying to segregate the nation. That's what you're trying to do. You're going in Region 6 and all of these and say, if you vote and if you keep us in place, we're going to do this and we're going to do that for you. That's bribing. That's not promises. That's bribing. You have the necessary resources to, of course, go into all the communities and get more traction than the opposition. The opposition ain't got money to match you. They don't. Nobody in the opposition has money to match the PPP. When I say nobody in the opposition, I mean Win too. Because everybody act like if Win has the world of money. No, they don't. They absolutely don't. If Win had the world of money, the leader of Win would not have been in collusion with the president to get a discount at GRA for a Lamborghini. Let's think this through. Let's think this through. And look, I'm not putting it past that all of these guys are working together. Like I said before, the people of Guyana is being gambled. That is what is essentially happening. And to know that you have ambassadors and foreign dignitaries that come to Guyana and rub shoulders with these criminals is shameful. A young 11-year-old died in Guyana. Adriana Young. We couldn't even get a proper investigation. We couldn't even get a proper investigation. The Henry Boys is still an open investigation. And the PPP is talking about moving Guyana forward. And people are talking about progress. What progress? A young man died on the Backless Public Road sometime last night. a young lady, and of late, I heard the bus driver that was driving that vehicle succumbed in that quarantine accident that involved a whole lot of school children. PPP, you're a disgrace to Guyana. David Granger, the Honorable David Arthur Granger, former president, put school buses on the road. But you guys are too lawless. You guys are too lawless. You don't want children to commute to school in a nice, dignified space, in a school bus that is meant for school children. You don't want that. And you know what? A young 17-year-old, from reports that I'm getting, would have lost her life. And you want me to say something, ladies and gentlemen? That too shall pass. The PPP will not do anything about that. The PPP is essentially a group of transactional criminals. That is what they are. They are not people-centric. I heard one of them try to say last night that, you know, they are people-centric. Where? Y'all bulldoze them people at Hillfoot. Y'all bulldoze them people at Moko. Y'all bulldoze the people at Jetty. And what y'all did? Y'all did y'all high-level stuff. Big time people billing out in front of Moko. Because when people pass on y'all highway, they must see castles. They mustn't see in actuality how Guyanese are living. You don't want that to be demonstrated. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna shift a little bit because look, we're gonna talk about how things should work in Guyana. We need to talk about how things should work in Guyana. And we had the fourth sitting of Parliament, right? When was that again? The 3rd? The 3rd of November, right? Yeah, Monday the 3rd of November. We had the fourth sitting of Parliament. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, it is within Parliament that the Public Accounts Committee, which is known as the PAC in Guyana, right? It's a parliamentary committee. It's a parliamentary committee, right? It's a committee that scrutinizes government spending. And how they do it? They do it by examining the Auditor General's report and holding government officials accountable. All right? There is core functions within this committee, right? The core functions include overseeing the Auditor General's office, examining how public funds are being used, and making recommendations to improve financial management and transparency within the ministries. All right? So, and by extension, not just the ministries, but the ministries and other agencies. So, when we talk about examining the Auditor General's report, all right, that is where these shadow ministers are so important. All right? Because sometimes what we do or what happens when there's a budget, when a budget comes out, you allocate a certain amount of funds to go towards education. But then those funds don't go towards education. It goes towards road or highway projects, or it goes towards some other project. That's why you have these people to oversee, to make sure when monies are allocated to a certain ministry or a certain area, it gets there. The work is done. The contracts are given. The contracts are fulfilled. Okay? and there are proper reports when it comes to how much was spent on the project. This is not happening. The Public Accounts Committee is not meeting, right? And financial decisions continues to be made. We need to have, this stuff to me, there needs to be some expansion to this stuff, right? I believe that people from the public sector, at least 2 people from the public sector, should be on the Public Accounts Committee. I don't like this thing where on this Public Accounts Committee is just a load of government ministers. Okay? We need to change this thing around if it's going to function correctly. And ladies and gentlemen, look, the only reason why I'm saying is that we need to have people from the private sector and maybe about 3 people with good financial background and financial knowledge from the diaspora on this Public Accounts Committee is because Guyana is just too damn corrupt. These people cannot be trusted. And it also makes sense because I am of the belief that Jermaine Figueroa would have concocted with the PPPC to suppress the Public Accounts Committee. That's why it wasn't meeting and the functions were not being carried out. So right now we have an auditor, as far as the Auditor General report goes. All right, I think the PPP is looking at that from what they have said. The PPP is looking at that. My thing is, where does the inclusivity of the opposition, when does it occur? The Auditor General office needs to be supervised. It needs to be oversight there. I would call for the Auditor General's office itself to be audited. I would call for the Guyana Revenue Authority to be audited also. The other job of the Public Accounts Committee also is to hold officials accountable. It invites ministers and permanent secretaries to appear before the committee to answer questions about the findings of the Auditor General report. So you guys see what an important position May Thomas was sitting in. They also give provisions when it comes to improving financial procedures, right? You cannot do that with one party in government doing it. You need to have a quorum to make these decisions and pass these decisions. Also, the Public Accounts Committee is responsible for nominating members of the Public Procurement Commission. When they do that, then those members, then it is placed before the National Assembly and voted upon for confirmation. So it is important that this committee be up and running, and we see to this point that moves are not being made to get it up and running. You had your first sitting on the 3rd of November. It is now the 22nd. I believe that Guyana is in such a position, and somebody would have just placed in a comment that Guyana is at a crossroads, and I agree with that. So if we are at a crossroads, the Public Accounts Committee should be meeting on a bi-weekly basis, if not weekly. I believe Parliament should be sitting bi-weekly for sure. But when you are involved in wrongdoings, you think you want to come and sit and face your colleagues on the opposite side? You don't. When your leader would have came out and act like a tin cup president, talking what he bashing the EU, those guys are 15 times smarter than you. They would wrap you up and you don't even know, Irfan Ali. How dare you? You don't have the educational pedigree to deal with those people. All you know is ignorance. Nobody's scared of you. Continuing, ladies and gentlemen. Continuing. I would have seen in an early report earlier today that the matter with regards to our little brother, Mr. Quindon Bacchus, the family would have received compensation. I believed in the amount of $24 million. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I am sad. All right? I am sad. I am concerned. All right? There was a little, the mother put out a little statement, Quindon Bacchus' mother, and to her I say a pleasant good evening to you, miss. She would have put out a statement, all right, and she gave a beautiful breakdown of the 24 million. Of the 24 million, I think she said 30%. Yes, 30% of the 24 million was attorney's fees. Okay, 30% of what she received of the 24 million was attorney's fees. So 24 million times 30%. That should be about $7.2 million. That's what it should be. $7.2 million. Okay? That went to attorney's fees. All right? That leaves her with $16.8 million. $16,800,000. That leaves her with. Of that, she put $5 million in an account for her grandchild, Quindon Bacchus' son, which is excellent. She showed that she is a grandmother. She demonstrated love and she demonstrated care. Okay? That's of the 16.8. She gives to the mother of the child $1 million straight. That leaves her with $10,800,000 Guyana dollar. All right. She was a mother that went through the pain to bear that child. Nobody else outside of the father would have felt what she would have felt. Okay? Nobody else. All right? I believe this story will be allowed to pass now. All right? It will be allowed to pass now. The officer walks free. Though ballistics show that all those bullets didn't come from that officer's gun. Okay? There's an officer within the Guyana Police Force who is being promoted now. That was there, that was involved. This one African Guyanese officer was just set to the side to take the fall and to take the blame. Okay? The other thing, let me get this across to you, PPP. PPP and all external investors. And look, stop hurting our people in Guyana. Stop shooting down black men. A black man, life is worth way more than $24 million. It is not going to be tolerated. All right? You're going to bring Armageddon to Guyana if you all continue with this posture. It is not going to be tolerated. No one else is shut down like this. It happens to no one else. This is a fact. This is not my opinion. It's a fact. You may not have heard from the opposition on this, but I'll say this. We on social media, we are equally the opposition. What they don't tell you, we shall. When they don't hold you accountable, we will. Just get that straight. I don't care how much 2 a.m. y'all working. Y'all can't bring back Wyndham Bacchus to his mother. And in my book, 24 million does not suffice. It doesn't matter a billion, it doesn't matter what. It's not worth a life. Life is more than that. You can't spend money if you don't first have life. It's not easy. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not easy to just take a man's life, you know. It's not cool. It's not cool at all. And your tin cup president, their tin cup president that wants to abuse all the EU, never went to visit that Afro-Guyanese family. And you want to call yourself leader? Look, I don't want to embarrass you tonight, you know. I don't want to embarrass you tonight. I don't want to. I don't want to. But keep pushing it. Keep pushing it. This is a cricket game. People are dying. People are dying across Guyana. While people die, you guys get excited. It seems as if like if your cabinet, your party is a blood-sucking party. Blood must be shed in order for you guys to achieve what you want to achieve, your personal goals. It's not the goals of the Guyanese people. Because if you was achieving the goals of the Guyanese people, again, 48 to 53% of them would not be living below the poverty line. Let's go to Monrepo. Let's go to Monrepo. The roads in Monrepo is in beautiful shape. They would have just erected a beautiful market in Monrepo. Nothing against the people. Nothing against the people of Monrepo. You guys don't take this to heart. Don't take this to heart. But we have to do comparisons. It must be done. Okay. Monrepo. All right. New market. Roads are intact. Everything is good. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go up the East Coast to Victoria. Victoria Sideline East, Victoria Sideline West. PPP, what's up? What's up? That was the first village that was purchased by our ancestors. What's up with Victoria? What's up with Victoria, PPP? Yet some of you in Victoria went and placed your votes where you should have never placed your votes. You guys are going to learn. You guys are going to learn. I'm going to watch you guys learn. Okay? Ladies and gentlemen, let me say this, and this is to the opposition too. Victoria should be looking like a small city on the East Coast. Y'all do not give that village the respect that it deserves. All right? You are not giving the work of our ancestors and the process that they would have put in place in order to purchase Victoria. Okay? You're not giving that enough respect. And that's maybe because you yourself have not really achieved anything since that. This is going to be real talk, brothers and sisters. Some people might get upset with me, but that's okay. That is okay. That's fine. I have to tell the truth. I can't come here and try to please everybody. We got to talk the truth, brothers and sisters. All right? The Victoria ground. We need some work on the Victoria ground. Okay? Give contracts out to local Victorians. Give them contracts. Let them do their own roads. Give it to them. Let them do their own roads. Make it affordable that African Guyanese can also bring in little bobcats and little stuff and start their business. They ain't got bobcats. Ladies and gentlemen, African Guyanese don't have bobcats. They're not allotted, the latitude to have those type of businesses. All their thing is rake, shovel, and spade. Everything is physical. Like it used to be back in the colonial days. Like I said, it is modern day colonialism. Yes, I have said it. Ladies and gentlemen, let's come down the east coast towards Georgetown. Let's come down. PPP. The council. Aslington Golden Grove. What's up with the Golden Grove market? What's up with the Golden Grove market? It hurt my heart to see the roof of some of the stalls at the Golden Grove market. Okay? And it hurts me on a personal level because Mr. Elliott is here. Mr. Ernest Elliott is here. Mr. Ernest Elliott is here on this program tonight. And he would have worked with my grandfather with regards to that Golden Grove Market project. And they also played a role with the President's College and advice and these type of things to Lyndon Forbes Sampson Burnham when the President's College was being built. So there's history there. Why is the Golden Grove market in such a deplorable condition? Why it is that the Golden Grove market and the Pleasance market is facing the issues that they are facing. Markets that are located in predominantly African Guyanese villages. You guys don't want, you see, look, you guys and your supporters, y'all bumps raise up and y'all want to go on. You guys don't want nobody to bell the cat and talk the truth. Thank you, Audrey Brown. Yes. Quindon Bacchus's mother, yes, took out a $5 million fixed deposit for Quindon Bacchus's son. Yes. Thank you for conforming with me. Thank you. Pleasance Market is essential to the people of Pleasance. Golden Grove Market is essential to the people of Golden Grove. Nabacalis, Aslington. I think Aslington have a very little market there. Out of the front there. But listen, the people at these little markets, they are forced to erect these little wooden stalls, little cheap stuff, little wooden thing that, Look, man, here. You bring in Bangladeshi nurses, and you treat them like queens And if there's male nurses kings, they get everything. $1,500 a month. All of this stuff. Free housing. Free food. Their children get to go to good schools. Okay? Their children get to go to good schools. The normal Guyanese in his own nation. All right? Remember, guys, we had a flood when in the 90s, right? We had a major catastrophic flood along the East Coast, right? 96 maybe. You guys can remind me for all those who know. Mr. Elliott, you may know, you may remember, right? The people on the coastline had to face that. Now to have people just come into your country in an oil boom and be given nursing jobs where they're making $1,500 a month. And you are allowed to live like a lapidog, having to erect a stand and, you know, try to make your little thing. Next thing you're going to hear, oh, you're on government reserve, and they're going to come and they're going to knock down your stand and just keep it moving. You know? They're going to just knock down your stand and keep it moving. Right? To the opposition, we got to stand up. We've got to show, all right, that we have a spine. All right? We've got to show that we've got a spine. Look, ladies and gentlemen, I am not a member of APNU, a member of the PNC, a member of the WPA, a member of Forward Guyana, a member of WIN. I'm not a member of any of the opposition parties. I am a member of Guyana. And we want to see a better Guyana. And we will not see a better Guyana under the PPP. And external investors, ambassadors, and all of them who wants to come together as a quorum, you are not going to force us to accept the PPP. They are a murderous regime. Nobody have tried them for any of these murders. Barry Jagdeo would have been in control of Guyana in those 23 years when many were executed, when mothers cried over coffins and caskets. All right? That must not just pass. Okay? We sit here and the case of Joel and Isaiah Henry is unsolved. The case of Adriana Young is unsolved. All right? We just have young Rihanna born, okay, would have died in the Mobile Station explosion. We've had enough. Now the child on the quarantine and the bus driver. It's just blood. It's just blood all the time. Bloodshed, bloodshed, bloodshed. I don't know what it is that Barry Jagdeo would have done to many in Guyana. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to say to you people on the ground in Guyana, you need to snap out of it. You really do need to snap out of it. You know, a good friend of mine called me and he said, Wayne, on your program this evening, please call out to all of the religious organizations across Guyana, all the churches, those churches that are authentic and those that are not authentic. The ones that are not authentic, here you have a chance to do something. We are calling for all the churches tomorrow to have a special prayer for Guyana, and specifically the children of the Cooperative Republic of Guyana. All right? Our children in Guyana, they are dying too young. We have had a slew of young people that would have died this year. And you know something, Ray Ray Lilly, you guys may know Ray Ray Lilly. Many know Ray Ray Lilly. You know, I follow Ray Ray Lilly. And, you know, I keep track of things. And when Ray Ray has his announcements and stuff, whenever people pass and these type of things, I kind of keep a mental record because those things bother me, right? And ladies and gentlemen, when I see the amount of people that pass away in their 20s and 30s and 40s, it bothers me tremendously. It bothers me, right? Look, man, we've got to come together, brothers and sisters. We've got to hold hands, and we've got to bring about change in Guyana. We've got to make some good trouble, all right? Those 12 seats in the opposition, along with our Forward Guyana seat, and win. If you guys want to do something right, all right, you need to do something for the people. You don't need to sit down with Irfaan Ali and collude with Irfaan Ali and the PPP. You know something? There's a season for everything. And the season for the PPP, I promise you, it's going to be up. It is going to be up. There's always going to be change. There's always going to be change. All right? 5 more years upon them. It ain't going to be 5 easy years. It's not going to be 5 easy years. And to the European Union, you know, and their team that would have came down and cover our elections, I want to say thank you for being truthful, for being authentic, for calling it for what it is. To the Canadian delegation, I want to thank you. To the Carter Center, all right? I believe that you guys have finally gotten it right. I want to say this to Mr. Vincent Alexander, Charles Corbin, and Desmond Trotman. You guys know the law. If you guys feel that there was a breach of the law, you guys need to report to work. All right? And the opposition, Dr. Terence Campbell and team, the leader of the opposition, Comrade Aubrey Norton, you had thousands of Guyanese that would have voted for you guys. If we want this nation to continue, right? Or if we want this nation not to continue, but to get on track of being a functioning democracy, if Claudette Singh continues with our approach and her posture, you guys need to show up at GCOM with a whirlwind, with thousands of people ready to cut off roads and streets and ready to just shut down Georgetown. All right? Look, this has to be done right. All right? People are not going to come into Guyana, work with the PPP government and bully Guyanese in their own country. It is not right. Nobody could come to the United States, Canada, the European Union, or any other country and bully their people. Guyana has no say in the politics in the United States of America. Okay? Guyana should be allowed to function as a democracy. Okay? Our fabric as a nation would have been decimated under the leadership of the PPP. Okay? One Guyana stands for one Indian Guyana. All right? And it will not be accepted. The indigenous Guyanese followed by the African Guyanese in that order. It is not going to be accepted. Unacceptable. Dr. Terence Campbell, you need to take the people to Parliament. If the PPP will not listen to you, take the people to Parliament. People of Guyana, you need to be prepared to go to Parliament. Your actions today is going to determine your tomorrow. Your action today is going to determine what the future of your children, grandchildren, okay, is going to look like. You are the adult today. What are you doing? Examine yourself and ask yourself the question. What are you doing now to provide a better future for your child? You might say, oh, I'm going to work and I'm working hard. How long do you know how long you're going to have that job? Do you know how long you're going to have that job? Do you know how your government functions? Do you know your rights as a Guyanese citizen? It's not just about getting up and going to work. And it's not just about you. It's about you, your neighbor. It's about your children and all the children in the neighborhood. It's about you, your children, and all the young children in Guyana. You know why? You might look at somebody else's child, you might say, oh, he's so bad. I ain't got nothing to say to that child. Well, your child got to live in the future with that same child. So don't say nothing. Allow that child to grow into a monster, and then you see who's going to pay the price. It's not a good thing to be selfish. All right? It's not a good thing to be selfish. All right, ladies and gentlemen, 8:27. We're going to carry on just a little bit more. I just have a few more things that I want to just put out there quick. All right? A few things to put out there quickly. But in continuing, and to my brothers in Linden, Conan, Israel, Theodore, Jason Benjamin, Asim, all of you guys, it's worship the mayor, and now he's a member of parliament, Mr. Sharma Solomon, Mr. Darren Adams, Comrade Dominic Blair. You guys got to hold your heads up and you guys got to keep your eyes open for your community. Linden is yours. You guys have been there all your lives. Okay? You've been there all your lives. Any investment, any new scheme, anything going up in Linden, you guys need to be involved in it. All right? Don't give me stuff but Kashif and Shanghai and all these people. Nah, they ain't authentic like these gentlemen that I've just called. The gentlemen that I would have just uttered their names. Oh, not forgetting Brother Otto Martin, the small man. The gentlemen that I would have just uttered their names, it's not men that is getting conference room. And when they talk about issues pertinent, oh man, this is a big one. Honorable Apostle Nigel London, sorry. I forgot to mention your name. You are a key part of everything. Apostle London is the leader. Conan, I believe, is a part of Forward Guyana. Okay? And so is Theodore also. The other gentlemen that I would have called, I think Otto, I don't know where Otto lies, but I think the other gentlemen, they're all part of APNU, if I'm not wrong. No, Brother Gavin, Gaspar could stay right there. He's going to get himself on the right track. Okay? He'll get himself on the right track. Y'all pray for Gaspar. Pray for him. Because right now he's a nobody. Anyhow, those gentlemen, people of Linden, rally around those gentlemen. All right? Don't let nobody come and show up and talk about national development on Linden. Ain't nothing national in Linden without those gentlemen that I would have just called their names. You can't bring other people to develop Linden. You can't bring other people to tell the Linden people about Linden when I would have just called a list of Linden historians. You can't do that. You think you'll pick up Israel Garden, Gavin Caesar, Rita Clark, Brenda Braithwaite, and carry us to Port Morant to educate the people on Port Morant? You ain't gonna do that. So don't bring anybody into Linden talking about investors and investment in Linden. You go talk to the leaders of Linden And I've just given you the list of names. And many of you young people, especially the young African gentlemen in Linden, some of you guys tend to want to go against the names that I would have just called. That's because you're uneducated and you need to get educated. Okay? Log into the highlighter shows in the morning. Log into Over to You. Log into Kidaki Amsterdam. Log into Politics 101 with Dr. David Hines. Bostonian and Guyanese Morning Time. Log into Credible Sources with Dr. Sherrod Duncan. Log into Straight Up with Mark Benchcop. Be edified. Be educated on what is actually happening. The PPP is pretending that they're going to be inclusive and include you, but they're not. They're not including you in anything. If they would have included you, it would have been done a long time ago. Again, Bangladeshi nurses are coming into Guyana at $1,500 US a pop every month. Housing and food provided. While you closed down the nursing institution in Linden that was pushing out excellent nurses. And you guys want to say that the PPP is a government for all? Where is the all? Where is the all? Let's talk about the crossings in Guyana. Let's talk about the bridges. Let's talk about the crossings. Ladies and gentlemen, we want to have a sustainable economy in Guyana, right? We want an economy that is going to be sustainable when Venezuelan oil and Russia oil hit back the oil market, right? You know Guyana is the largest oil producer in the world per capita. You know that? And I'll tell you this, ladies and gentlemen. I am ashamed to tell you guys that this evening. I am ashamed. I know many of you will be saying, Wayne, is not your fault. But I am still ashamed because I came from that soil. I would have come from that soil just like many of us have. The richest, the largest oil producing nation in the world per capita. 53% of Guyanese are living in poverty. That don't rhyme well. That don't rhyme well. So it in tying out, brothers and sisters. The mat in tying. Irfan Ali, Ashni Singh, the mat in tying. 900,000 barrels per day. 53% of the population below the poverty line. That in time. Irfan Ali, Bara Jagdeo, Anil Nandalal, Ashni Singh, the entire PPP cabinet. What is the plan for the Guyanese people? What is the plan to eradicate poverty in Guyana? What is the plan for old age pension? I would have just placed a proposal out there last week. Azudin Mohammed, you're the one that they probably, your party got 16 seats. You're the one that they're going to elect probably as opposition leader. Sir, you need to understand what I'm saying there, okay? You need to understand. Let your team go back and y'all could watch last week's program. Okay? You guys have a Guyana that you can work with today because of our pensioners. You guys have a Guyana today that you can work with because of our pensioners who would have worked hard over decades. Guyana is now the largest oil producing nation per capita in the world. I beg to ask the question, what incentive do you guys have for our pensioners? I propose that the pension be raised to $70,000 a month. That is my proposal. Ladies and gentlemen, listen. You see the PPP? They just try to smart you guys. All right? The bridges and the crossings, right? You see what they did? It's free to cross the new Demerara Bridge. It's free to cross all the crossings. Hear my thing. If it was $100 to cross the Demerara Harbor Bridge, and this is for minibus, well, hold up. If it was $100 to cross the Demerara Harbor Bridge for a private car, okay, we can move that cost to $25. Another thing we need to develop is a tagging system. And many of you is in the New York tri-state area and even in Canada. There's something called an Easy Pass, where you have a tag up in the car that picks up every time you pass. You have to have enough money on your account. If you don't have, they're going to send you a bill. We need to have something like that in Guyana. Okay? We need to implement that. Okay? The Mackenzie, and look, the Mackenzie Bridge. All right? Same thing. $25 to cars. Minibus should be $50. You can't passenger, you're walking. You're traversing back and forth. Can't be the same amount as cars. These big trucks now. I got something for you. The big 18-wheelers and all these big sand trucks. We need to have weigh station in Guyana that these trucks pull into, and the weight of these vehicles are checked when they're loaded. All right? You're destroying the roads. All right? You've destroyed, well, Barnum, the Honorable Lyndon Forbes Sampson Barnum, the late Lyndon Forbes Sampson Barnum, his Sioux Lake Linden Highway stood up for decades. All right? Okay. We need to have weigh station for these trucks. Sand trucks, the cost, let's see, we just said minibuses $50. Sand trucks, we're gonna charge sand trucks $200 to cross the bridge. Look, the bridge has to bring in some measure of revenue in order to maintain the structure. The same thing with the new Mackenzie Bridge. The Mackenzie Bridge structure needs to be maintained, I would say 50% by the municipality, or whatever, 40% by the municipality and 60% by the government. What I'm trying to say in eyesight, all the monies that are picked up from tolls on the Mackenzie Bridge must go to the municipality. It mustn't go to the government. The government is already handling enough money. The Demerara Harbor Bridge, that money must go straight to the government. Same thing for the Barbies Bridge. But not Linden. Well, in actuality, when a new Barbies structure do go in place, or you could even start with this older structure that there is now, that money should go to the municipality in New Amsterdam. Right? In order for them to be able to do the necessary upkeeps with government assistance. But the PPP is so non-compliant. The central government is so wicked. Y'all are wicked. Y'all have starved the mayor and city council in Georgetown. Now y'all coming and play, y'all cleaning up. And y'all in the middle of the street or wherever y'all at with President storing big dirty pot in the street, talking about he cooking for people. No. You go in Tiger Bay and you cook one day. That doesn't alleviate poverty. People of Tiger Bay, be careful that the PPP didn't come to befriend y'all. They befriend you today and tomorrow they bulldoze you because they want the area. I'm just saying. I am just saying. All right. Marlon Thomas has brought to my attention that there was a wait station in Linden just over the bridge at the entrance of West Wautuka, and the PPP removed it. Ladies and gentlemen, you heard that. There was a way station just before West Wautuka after you get off the Mackenzie Bridge, and the People's Progressive Party Civic would have removed it. Okay? That's what you call lawlessness at the highest of levels. Okay. Thank you, Ms. Thomas. Rosie Rose Jeff is informing me that $70,000 can't make it in Guyana. You know something, Rosie Rose Jeff, Miss Rosie Rose Jeff? I'll say this. The reason why I propose $70,000, you want to tell you deep in my heart where I want it to start? I want it to start at $100,000. And I had the latitude of speaking this week with the Honorable Dr. Vincent Adams, who would have given me a phone call. Okay? And we discussed that. And Dr. Adams agreed that it should be $100,000. So, a matter of fact, Dr. Adams would love for you guys to have anywhere around $110,000 to start us. But look, I have to go with something modest, because if you go with $100,000, the PPP gonna jump up and say, oh, we can't do that. We ain't got that money. That's their first thing. But here what's my thing. Here's what is my response to you guys, PPP. Y'all have worked infrastructure for the last 5 years. How much longer we gonna work infrastructure? Because here what you do, ladies and gentlemen. Your economy only grows so much every year. After a while, it's gonna start to tail off. Our economy cannot grow 33% every single year. Guyana was so far behind. That's why we see the massive, you understand me, GDP reports, because we were so far behind. That's why we was getting all those 40-something percent, 33%, high percentage. You see what they went to this year? 11%. But like I said before, I believe GDP is going to grow anywhere between 18 and 21%, if not more. Okay? If not more, somewhere in that ballpark. Right? Because the prediction for GDP was oil-based. Okay? And oil would have done very well. Much better than anticipated by the PPP. Okay? I personally did not expect the war between Ukraine and Russia to end. I did not expect it to. Because I know what we're dealing with when it comes to Vladimir Putin. So I didn't expect it to end. Right? And I didn't expect that US would have just removed sanctions from Venezuela and allow Venezuela oil to pour in on an international level. So those two things did not happen. So therefore, Guyana became a key market and continues to be a key market when it comes to oil production. All right? So we're there. We're there on the world market. They can see us. All right? They can see us. Marlon Thomas, I was home for 2 weeks and spent $100,000 in 2 days. That's normal. That's normal, Miss Thomas. Yes. Yes. Bossman Galiv is reminding me. Thank you, my brother. The APNU promised $100,000 to pensioners. You know what? The APNU would have done their homework. They have done their studies. Okay? And based on their studies, they knew that it was more than possible to give pensioners. Looking at the amount of pensioners, how many pensioners we have in Guyana, ladies and gentlemen? Approximately 73,000. Approximately 73,000. If you say, Mr. Caesar, what do you think about the number? Well, the number is very low. Okay? The number is low. And what does that mean? That means we can give them what they deserve. You know, somebody had sent me, let me check my phone quickly. Somebody had sent me a list, a shopping list. Let me see if I can find it. I may be able to, ladies and gentlemen. All right. This is what. The person went out and they spent $50,000. It's a $50,000 shop list. 2 pounds of onions, $320. 5 pounds of potatoes, $500. 3 pints of chana, $840. 2 pints of red peas, $1,400. 2 pints of split peas, $400. 2 pints of black eyed peas, $720. 1 gallon of white rice? What? No, man, can't be this. Yeah, man. 1 gallon of white rice, $1,920. 4 packs of milk, $2,500. 2 packs of cube, $880. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank the people on the ground in Guyana for supplying me with needed information. Okay? Because sometimes when you come out and you speak, ladies and gentlemen, people think that, you know, you're coming out to make the government look bad. Look, everything would be good with me and the PPP if they were a compliant government. All right? If they were a compliant government. If we didn't have 53% of Guyanese living in poverty, you wouldn't have a program here with Wayne Caesar. If you had a program here with Wayne Caesar, it would have been a program that is guiding government on things that they can do to make Guyana better and to put us in a better financial position on the world stage, a better investing position on the world stage. All right, we continue, ladies and gentlemen. 1 bottle of oil, $2,600. 6 packs of flour, $1,680. 3 tubs of butter, $2,040. 1 pack of baking powder, $120. 1 pack of custard powder, $200. Lemon pepper, what? $3,200. All right, that one is off the list. 1 pound of curry powder, $600. 1 bottle of vinegar, $360. 1 bottle of Chinese sauce, $300. 2 tins of tomato paste, $1,100. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all hearing these prices? I hope y'all hearing them. 2 tins of corn, $720. 2 boxes of mac and cheese, $560. Brothers and sisters, you see, when y'all decide that, oh, and this is a Guyanese tradition, that y'all gonna pack a barrel and send for y'all family members. First of all, y'all are contributing tremendously to Guyana's economy. Y'all are contributing tremendously to bringing down the poverty rate in Guyana. I just want you guys to know the impact, all the MoneyGram transactions that you guys make to Guyana, right? Because I know all of you, you're just like me. We're all one. We are all loving and caring, okay? We love our families. We love our country, all right? Linda Dainty said the prices are higher. Please mention the name of that store. I ain't got the name of the store, Linda, but I could find out. One yeast, 460. Linda, if you got different prices, you need to get them to me. One mustard, $640. One mayo, mayonnaise. Hey, I don't know about you guys. I never had mayonnaise in Guyana. $860. 2 ketchup, $1,120. One Milo is what, see, $700. Is either $700 or $400. Let's see if I got anything else. How much is this one bone? One Bounty Taste You, $760. One fabric softener, $1,600. 6 pounds of sugar, $1,080. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, help me here. Don't Guyana produce sugar? Don't Guyana produce sugar? 6 pounds of sugar, $1,080. You guys tell me in the comments if that price is fair. 1 pack of soap powder, $960. All right, good. Let me see what else I got left here. It is all. I don't understand what this is, but anyhow. 2 bales of toilet paper, $1,800. 1 bag of rice, brown, $2,200. It looked like 2 packs of cereal there. Fruit Loops. What? Hey, ladies and gentlemen, 2 packs of Fruit Loops. $4,600. Y'all need to send barrel for Christmas. 2 pack of chow mein, $720. 2 blue. Yes, I remember blue. $100. 2 blue soap. $200. All right. Total cost, $43,900. Okay? Person went to market with $50,000. All right? So, I want to say something. I'm a public accountant. And I've got also, a master's in finance. And, they deem us to be economists, right? Based on, our portfolio and our knowledge of finances. But I want to expand that a bit. To all those mothers in Guyana that goes out to the market and make that little sum of money that you have work for your family on a weekly, bi-weekly, and monthly basis. Tonight, Wayne Caesar is deeming you guys economists. Okay? Because you make it work. All right? You make it work. Okay? I was so happy that I was able to share that list with you guys. The people on the ground in Guyana, please continue to pray and support all these individuals here, all these people on this program this evening. These are fighters. They come here with me on Saturday. They're here during the week with Mark. They're with Sherrod. They're with Kadaki. They're with Conan. And they fight. Okay? We fight for Guyana. All right? And we will not give up. We will not give up. I see my executive producer, Mr. Gavin Caesar, is showing his face on screen. That is telling me that when there is 4 minutes remaining All right. Those barrels would have left to reach in time for Christmas. Miss Rosie Rose Jeff. Oh, yes. And I know Christmas in Guyana is the best Christmas. Canada usually have a good Christmas too. The US Christmas is not bad either. But Guyana, oh man. Wayne, you familiar with the cage? I don't know what's the meaning of that. But ladies and gentlemen, the holidays is upon us. There have been no announcement by the PPP government that there will be a cash disbursement to the Guyanese people. That is a disappointment. Again, people can't eat in infrastructure. They can't eat road and bridges. They can't feed their children with those things. It's Christmas. Cost of living is through the roof. Inflation is through the roof. So a cash transfer would have been welcome at a minimum of $100,000 to every Guyanese adult. Would have been a welcome thing. It would have went right back into the Guyana economy. All right. Your tin cup president Irfaan Ali would have pumped 1.5 billion US into the Guyana economy because of a shortage of the US dollar. All right. But you was able to do that. But to give the normal everyday Guyanese a cash transfer of $100,000, right, at the cost of $55 billion is a problem. $55 billion is no money, ladies and gentlemen. All right, it can be easily done. It's not a problem. Like I would have suggested last week, we need to have 2 cash transfers per year to Guyanese, one at Christmas time, the other one I believe in June. You can't give one at Christmas and then give one in January. So I put June there. Okay, one at Christmas, one at June, right? At a total of $110 billion. And that is me calculating that Guyana has 550,000 adults, which I believe we don't. All right. Good. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now 8:59 p.m. sharp here in the Northeast region of the United States of America. I believe it is also 8:59 in Canada. It is now 1 minute to 10 in Guyana. I want to first thank everyone in Guyana on the ground for staying up until 10 p.m. I hope that you have light in your village. I hope again that you have light in your village. I know they got boxing tonight. They got cricket. They got all kind of things that you guys probably going to be tuning in on. All right. And then over to all the individuals watching in the UK. I know it's morning there. It should be. And in the United States of America and the broader Caribbean, I want to really thank you guys for joining over to you this evening. Until next Saturday, I love each and every one of you. Let's continue to hold hands. Let's continue to stand in solidarity. Until next Saturday, over to you. Good night.
keep the big shows, one set of girls and banner. Cause I done fed up, you done fed up, he done fed up, she done fed up, we done fed up, the people fed up. You're hiding corruption inside the cup, look how evil set up. The people fed up. Every picture you take and promise you make, everything you do is about clout. Then you come into me for I shake your hand, there's nothing to smile about. Corruption inside